India's External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar's visit to Israel is crucial on several accounts, including key diplomatic events like the first ever Quad meeting between India, Israel, the UAE and US. It will be remembered for discussions on geostrategic issues like Iran, China, maritime security and counter-terrorism, and also for its focus on innovation to help tackle the climate crisis. However, one thing which has stood out is the engagement on the lesser-known aspects of the India-Israel ties. Our correspondent Jodie Cohen brings you this report on the shared history between the two nations.
The historical relationship between India and Israel extends from the battlefield to the agricultural fields and the cooperation of the kibbutz movement with Savodea in the fields of agriculture and community living. During External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar's three-day visit to Israel, he has visited places of historical significance to India, as well as heard about innovations and technologies that path the way to the future. Jaishankar laid a wreath at the military cemetery in Jerusalem for Indian soldiers who laid down their lives in the region, and honouring the more than 100,000 Indian soldiers who fought here, largely in the First World War. He also unveiled the Boudin Grove plaque at the Jerusalem Forest. This marks the grove planted by Indian leaders in 1960, who were exploring ways to implement the socialist ideals of the Savodea movement by visiting kibbutz and moshav communities in Israel. The visits demonstrate India's long-term presence in the region and constructive role played in shaping the history there. Jaishankar also visited kibbutz Be'erot Yitzhak. The kibbutz is known for its agricultural innovations and cutting-edge technology to help reduce water and energy use in agriculture. As Jaishankar said in an exclusive conversation with WION, there have been 30 years of full diplomatic relations between Israel and India, and he suggested that the next 30 are likely to focus on human-centric activity, technology, and particularly the green economy.
Minister Jaishankar, we're standing by a model of an ancient synagogue from India.
We're standing actually at the synagogue.
We are standing at the synagogue, and the ties between the Jewish community in India and in Israel, and indeed the ties between Israel, they've been going on for 30 years now. Where do you expect the cooperation between the two countries to go from here?
Well, you know, in a way it's a very appropriate place that we are talking, because this place in many ways expresses the deep civilizational bonds between India and Israel. Our relationship, of course, is rooted in history, but very much a part of modernity as well. Our relationship in the last many years has covered areas like agriculture, water, to some degree defense, security. But now we are looking much more at technology, at innovation, at, I would say, human-centric activities, because that's where the world is heading. It could be, again, it could be in terms of the green economy, it could be in terms of the frontiers of different technologies. So I'm very sure that the next 30 years would be way, way beyond the last 30 years.
A key theme of External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's visit to Israel has been on innovations to tackle the climate crisis, which is particularly significant in the lead-up to the COP26 Global Climate Summit. Israel has joined the International Solar Alliance promoting affordable solar energy, and the Quad meeting focused on the environment, energy and trade, as well as global geopolitical issues. The visits to the cemetery for India's fallen soldiers and Boudin Grove, as well as the visit to the innovative kibbutz farm, sum up the focus of this trip, marking the history of the two nations and pointing the way to even greater cooperation going forward. This is Jodie Cohen from kibbutz Be'erot Yitzhak, Israel, for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.